Hello everyone! Welcome to If My Heart Had Wings, Amane's Route, Episode 1. So this is the beginning of Amane's Route. Well, not quite. So I usually have a favorite character in mind, and she goes last. But for If My Heart Had Wings, the reason Amane is going last is because Amane's route goes on a special, different approach compared to the other three routes, Kotori's route, Ageha's route, and the twins' route. And it's because we don't really get to see the second part of the common route, where after Tobioka-sensei destroys the garage that housed the Soaring Club, they had to go and find new ways to bring up the Soaring Club. So after a year, there are twins that show up at the Flying Fish Manor, and Asa isn't interested, and she provides them a place to house the glider. And it looks like, based on how I played it in the Japanese version, they actually integrated the second part of the common route into Amane's route herself. So, a little history about Amane. So, she's known as the repeater student. She's been in school for many years, and for some reason, she's on the drawing board for a long time, and she keeps mentioning the word Iska. It's like, well, I'm doing this for Iska. And when Aoi and the others ask about Iska, she can't explain, and neither can Tatsuya, who was in the Soaring Club in the past. So, Aoi first meets Amane while he was looking around, and he sees this garage that's desolate. And for Amane, she's been on the drawing board for a long time, to the point where she forgets to eat. And Aoi has to stop her and provide food for her. So, if you remember near the end of the first part of the common route, Amane was forced to graduate because she's been in school for too long. And Amane does have a more important role later on in the common route, when she provided the reason why Kotori should stay in Keifu Academy. So if you remember in the beginning, Kotori wanted to drop out because the Keifu Academy wasn't a fit for her. She was only there for wheelchair access. And when she saw the glider, at first she was not interested, other than, well, it does fly. But then she found a powerful photograph, and it's like, well, can the glider reach here? And that's the Morning Glory. And it's obviously a yes, because the picture was taken by a pretty old Soaring Club that left behind for some time now. And it was probably the thing that Iska picked up when she's reopened the Soaring Club. So anyways, let's see how it goes in Amane's route. And if you notice, I'm actually back in the common route. So once you complete Kotori's route, that unlocks Amane's route. And to get to Amane's route, you have to go back to the common route, where they unlock some new parts of the story that will allow you to access Amane's route. So I'm not sure where this happens, but let's see. So I was like, I feel really refreshed now. As I come back from my bath, Amane is still in the dining hall staring at the designs. So I'm sure this is after when they figure out, well, Amane, it's not good to sleep in the garage, so you should sleep in a better place. And they invited Amane to the Flying Fish Manor. And this is probably after the big bath scene with Amane, Ageha, and Aoi. And they had this little romance talk. And at least Aoi didn't hear what it was, just all these muffle and all these voices. So I take some barley tea from the fridge and sit in front of the electric fan to cool myself off. So it feels like it's a little difficult to speak to her. So I just vacantly watch her from the side while the cool air blows over me. She really is pretty, isn't she? So when it's deep in concentration, she looks dignified and cool. She's completely in her own world, and there is a distinctive air about her that keeps others from approaching her. If I had to say, she gives the impression that she's absent-minded but warm and friendly. And that's why when I see her thinking so seriously like this from time to time, I feel like my heart skips a beat. Well, with these two sides to her, Amane Mochizuki is a real mystery, and I find her fascinating. So, it wouldn't seem strange at all for her to appear in a fashion magazine. She's pretty and has a good figure and is tall and slender. And even so, she seems completely unaware of this, and sometimes it's like she forgets that she's a girl altogether. I feel like it's kind of a shame, but that's just who she is. While thinking about this and watching her from this side, still staring at the designs, Amane starts muttering as if she's just remembered something.
葵くんは私のことが好きなのか?
Huh? Because the way she said it was so casual. For a moment, I really didn't understand what she had said. As I struggled to find an answer, Amane looks over at me. So what did he say?
葵くんは私のことが好きなのか?
So I noticed that you've been looking at me for some time. Wait, so what's this all of a sudden? No, it's the fact I was looking at you. That's not what it means at all. I was only just the moment thinking to myself how pretty she is. So maybe that's a pretty poor excuse.
なんだ、違うのか?
So I guess not. Amane seems a little disappointed as she murmured to herself. Okay, so we get this option. So I get to respond whether or not, well, I like it or, well, that's not true. So I'm actually going to show you both options. So let's see what happens if Aoi says, no, that's wrong. No, I don't. And without thinking, I bluntly reply, and Amane seems a little hurt. Uh-oh. Well, I don't really like you in that way, I mean. I like being around you, and I like you in that sense. As I hastily try to clarify things, Amane looks like she's relieved.
私もだ。葵くんもみんなのことも好きだ。
Okay, then. So what made you think that? And why would she say something like that all of a sudden?
お風呂に入ってる時にな、小鳥とアゲハが言ってたんだ。葵くんが好きなのは私じゃないかって。
Wait, what? So the way they're talking about it makes it sound like I definitely have a secret crush on someone. So is that why you thought you asked me about it? So Amane has a kind of naive look on her face as she nods deeply. And that's the kind of thing you don't just go up to someone and ask them.
そうか。そうなのか。
Well then, Amane starts muttering to herself as she looks back towards the designs. And all that, at that moment, she goes back to her concentrating face. And as I finish drinking my barley tea, I stand up and go to wash the glass. Well then, so I'm off to bed now. Okay. So she can't hear me. I gently turn the electric fan in Amane's direction and then leave the dining hall. Okay, so back in his room, it's like, I feel nervous. So as I close the door behind me with one hand, I put the other on the left side of my chest. and my heart is still pounding. Do you think she suddenly asked me a thing like that? So regardless of whether or not I like her, do you have someone that pretty look at me in the eyes and ask, do you like me, left me a little flustered. So I lay down on my bed, and it felt like the throbbing in my heart wouldn't go away for a little while.
Mina sama, 長い間ご迷惑をおかけしておりましたが。
Okay, so I think this is where this little portion joins the rest of the common route. So I'm going to go back and see what happens if Aoi says he does like Amane. And I'm sure that's one of the choices that you select to unlock Amane's route. So hold on for a minute. Okay, so I'm back at the selection screen. And now let's see what happens if Aoi says to Amane that he likes her. So, I like it. Okay, so he says, oh, I do like you. I'm a little flustered, so as I answer. So Amane blushes slightly. So in the same way, I like Kotori and Ageha. So not much change. I follow what's that up with kind of sheepishly while blushing. So that's obvious, isn't it? If I didn't like you, I wouldn't be with you. Like this. So Amane, do you dislike me?
そんなことない。好きだぞ、葵くんやみんなのこと。一緒にいて楽しいからな。そうか。そういうことか。
So what do you mean, or what made you think that? So why would she say something like that all of a sudden?
お風呂に入ってる時にな、小鳥とアゲハが言ってたんだ。
Oh, okay, so I'm sure this is where the other option will take us, so I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next selection screen option. So I'm guessing that was the one at the lakeside where Ageha was asking Aoi whether or not, or which swimsuit Aoi admired the most. So let's see. Okay, so I'm back, and it does look like the next option is the swimsuits at the lake. So this is where Ageha asks Aoi which swimsuit he admires the most. And let's see what happens if Aoi says he admires Amane's swimsuit the most. So, Amane. So I think that Amane suits her the best. So I go slightly red as I answer, and the other two girls stare straight at me. Okay.
やっぱりだ。
I knew it. So wait, what?
今、アマネちゃんの胸見てたでしょ。
So you like Amane's body, you like her proportions, right?
胸?
Wait, what? Well, I can't help it looking at a swimsuit. It means looking at that area. Amane looks great when she takes off her clothes though. And without thinking, I take another look and my eyes meet with Amane's.
ありがとう。なんだかくすぐったいな。
Well, I'm embarrassed and can see Amane blushing. She looks back at me with a happy, naive smile, and I felt a little guilty. The no-holds-bar question time ended without incident, so now it's time to go swimming. Okay, so I see this is where it joins up with the other routes in the common route, so I'm going to skip more, and I'm guessing the next selection screen is where they decide whose turn it is to look at the sky in the morning to see if there are any signs of morning glory coming. So temperature drop, purplish sky, and the such. So, hold on for a minute. Okay, so I'm back, and this looks like this is where they decide whose turn it is to look at the night sky in the morning to see any signs of morning glory coming. So let's see what happens if they say that it's, or I always says that it's Amane's turn. So, so isn't it Amane?
ああ、そうだ。私だ。
そっか。先輩、よろしくお願いしますね。
Well then, so I better quickly have a bath and go to bed. So if the morning glory does come, we have to fly right away. And that's why we covered the glider on the runway and just covered it up with a sheet. So even if it doesn't occur, we can still start doing test flights from early in the morning. So it's going to be a little rough, but it doesn't look like there's going to be, or it's going to rain, so there isn't much we can do. And there's no way we can let this 1 in a million chance pass up. Okay, so let's see how Aoi, or what he does in the Amane selection. So I've opened my eyes. I close my eyes and roll over in bed, and it doesn't feel like my sleepiness is coming back. I sit up and open the curtains. The sky is dark. I can see the stars twinkling. So I went to take a look outside, but no one was there. So is Amane awake? So it's Amane's turn this morning. And where's Amane? Maybe she went back to her room. I take a look around, but it looks like she's not there. I start to feel sleepy again. Well, maybe I should go back to my room and sleep. I said to myself as I headed to the gate. So there in the middle of the runway, I could see Amane standing there absentmindedly. Okay, so she went further than the Flying Fish Manor. Amane?
やあ、葵くん。
Hello, Aoi-kun. So what are you doing out here?
空を見ていたんだ。ここの方が見晴らしがいいからな。
That makes sense. Says Amane as she looks to the sky. I copy her and look up at the sky too. The whole sky above us is filled with stars.
今日はもう現れそうにないな。
Yeah, you're right. The sky is calm. The stars aren't being blocked by the clouds, and countless lights are shining down on the earth from above. And it's just before dawn, and it looks like the weather conditions need to create a gigantic passage of clouds will not be occurring. So we just have to wait for tomorrow then. Yeah, I guess that's true. Amane replies while looking up at the sky. As I look at her, she seems kind of sad. So I wonder why. Well, it's okay. It'll come. I'm sure of it. I say that despite having no reason to believe so, and Amane gives me a sideways look.
どうしてそう思うんだい？
So why do you think that way? Well, I don't know if it'll come or not, but if we don't think it's coming, then we won't be able to do anything, will we?
おう。
So you gotta hope for the best. So I think the best thing to do is to assume it will occur and act based on that. Okay. It'll be a real shame if it doesn't come though. And we can't wait here for the rest of our lives, can we? So we have a time limit. And the time limit is until Amane has to quit
私
or
は
graduate.
ずっと待ち続けてきた。
So I've been waiting for this whole time. So Amai speaks as she looks towards the distant sky.
そして待つことができる最後の年を迎えてしまった。けどその最後の年に葵くんたちが来てくれた。
At least all of you were here.
そしてようやく飛ぶための準備が整ったんだ。だから今年こそはモーニンググローリーに現れてほしい。
So are you really going to leave? I can no longer stop myself from asking, and Amane gives a little smile.
そういう約束だからな。
Well, unfortunately, I made a deal with the teachers, so I have to graduate. Amane is leaving. The sadness makes me feel painful inside just from imagining it. I want to spend more time with you, Amane, in that garage.
私もだ。今年の夏は楽しかったからな。
Well, same here. Amane giggles as she recalls it.
みんなのおかげでいい思い出がたくさんできた。
So let's make lots more even after the summer holiday is over.
それは贅沢というものだ。何せ私は他のみんなより余分に学生生活を送っているのだからな。
So after you quit, you won't be coming back to the school? I guess so. Zamane didn't say anything. She just quietly looked to the sky.
思えば私は学生としてやり残したことがたくさんある。普通の倍近くも学生生活を続けながらみんなの半分もそれを楽しめなかった気がする。
And I wish I met you sooner. I wanted to have been able to have spent more time as just a regular student with you. Zamane smiles kindly and tension seems to fade from her expression. So I'm a little startled to see her smile like this.
私もだ。きっと毎日楽しかっただろうな。イスカと達也もいてくれたら今年の夏のような日々が5年間毎日続いたに違いない。
So it feels as if it was with Iska and Tatsuya. Then the days that we've spent together this summer would have continued every day for 5 years, no doubt about it. And as she imagines, well, what if scenario of her life at the academy and smiles pleasantly, or she smiles pleasantly.
私がそんな風に思えるようになるなんてな。君たちと過ごした夏は学生生活の楽しさをぎゅっと凝縮したような季節だった。
So the way she speaks makes it sound like it's over already. And that makes me feel both sad and frustrated. Well, the summer is not over yet, so aren't there still things you want to do? If there are, I want to help her fulfill them.
そうだな。モーニンググローリーを飛ぶことかな。
Well, that will come true. There's no guarantee that the morning glory will occur in the few days we have left. But when I thought of all the years that Amane had been waiting, I lied to myself and thought it was, or it must happen.
ならあれかな。
And one more thing. So what is it?
恋だ。
Wait, love? Amane nods.
私は恋愛を経験したことがない。普通の学生ならもうとっくにしているものなのだろう。
Well, perhaps. If you include unrequired love, that would include most people. So, is there someone that you like? Question.
どうなんだろう。自分でもよくわからないんだ。
Well, you know, I don't really know.
イスカが言っていた。恋とは素晴らしいものだと。恋をすると 世界が瞬く間に輝き出すのだと。残念ながら私にはそんな経験はない。イスカが言っていた意味も未だによく分かっていない。葵くんはどうなんだい？
So what about you then? Well, I don't know. I never experienced the world sparkling all of a sudden. So I feel that what Iska said is kind of exaggerating.
じゃあキスしたことは？
So, have you kissed anyone? Asked Amane as she looked me straight in the eyes. So naturally the stars in the sky reflected our eyes and we stared into each other's sparkling eyes. So I should be able to answer her easily, but I find myself unable to. So Amane's eyes, also Amane herself, are just too beautiful and I just look at her without saying anything.
葵くん？
So yes, Aoi-kun, so what's wrong? No, well, I haven't.
そうなのか。君ならあると思ったんだがな。
So is that so? Well, I thought that you would have. So I think that if I had a chance, I would like to try it. So I said it quite casually, but I started totally freaking out when I really realized. So what am I saying? So it definitely sounds like I'm implying I want to kiss you, Amane. So Amane nods meaningfully.
なら私としてみないか？
Wait, huh?
でもダメか。人生最初のキスは確か特別なものなんだったな。私なんかでは葵くんに申し訳ない。
Well, that's not the case. So I spoke again without thinking, so I started to panic again. So Maya looks at me like she's thinking about something.
じゃあお願いしてもいいかな。
So is it okay? Amaya blushes a little as she speaks. So it's okay for you to do that with me? Is that what you're asking?
学生生活最後の思い出だ。私だって誰でもいいわけじゃないぞ。葵くんがいい。
So Maya looks quite shy and embarrassed about it, even though she's much older than me. She seems really adorable. So Maya is so cute when she's embarrassed. And looking at me vacantly, Amane comes closer, step by step. She raised her chin, closed her eyes, and her lips protruded upwards ever so slightly. She stands, still waiting. I hesitate for a moment, and then put my hands on her shoulders. So does he do it? And then I bring my face closer to hers. Wait, I can't do it. Okay, so no. Surprised, Amane opens her eyes all of a sudden. I push her away by the shoulders. So, it's no good, Amane.
なぜダメなんだ？
So why not? You should do this with someone that you really like. Amane stares at me while I speak. And then pouting, she mumbles.
だから葵くんにお願いしているんじゃないか。
Well, that's why I wanted to do it with you. That's not what I mean by like, So I make these kind of words, flustered excuses, and then the mind turns around.
今のは本気で傷ついたぞ。
Well, I'm hurt. I'm sorry.
もう知らない。帰る。
She spoke in a unusually sulky tone and then started walking briskly. Wait, Amane? Well, then again, he kind of turned her down, so... I call to try and stop her, but she ignores me as she walks quickly across the runway and I run after her. And then I realized that the eastern sky was beginning to glow. Okay, so we're back in the Flying Fish Manor, where the other routes will join up. So that was a pretty good length side story for Amane. So we can tell that Amane does kind of admire Aoi in some way, and that's why she would ask Aoi to do the kiss, but I think it was just too much for Aoi to handle at this point. So we'll skip, and hopefully I'm able to start Amane's actual individual character route, and out of this common divergence routes. So hold on for a minute. Okay, so I'm back, and this looks like where we enter Amane's route. So this is around the time when Amane is packing up. So she graduated, she attended the ceremony, and she's ready to leave and go back to her father's lab and work as a chemist for him. So let's see how it differs from the usual common route where Aoi lets Amane go, and then they come back to find the garage demolished by Tobioka-sensei. So she said that, and then she hung her bag over her shoulder. Wait. The thought of that I was desperately holding inside started to overflow, and in that moment I tried to keep them in check. Amane was really going to leave. She was going to leave her dreams, her memories, everything behind. I don't want to let her go. My heart trembled with such strong feelings. She puts down her bag and turns towards me.
Aoi-kun?
So what's wrong? I walk over to her and then take her hand. So I press my lips against hers. And Amane is surprised. Her whole body tenses up. She looks like she doesn't understand what's happening, and her eyes are open in bewilderment. But that was only to begin with. And once she grasped the situation, the tension disappeared from her rigid shoulders. Amane closed her eyes, and then, entrusting herself to me, pressed her lips back against mine. Her lips were lush, soft, and delicate, and there was a certain elasticity to them, and they pushed back against my lips. And the feelings of sadness turned to feelings of adoration. And I pulled her hand towards me and pressed my lips more strongly against hers. Amane didn't refuse it, so she accepted it. And the lushness of her lips spread to every corner of my thoughts. And there was a pleasant sensation that I had never experienced before. And then we slowly moved our lips away. It lingered for a moment, and then the warmth from the two of us being so close soon disappeared.
Aoi-kun, こういうことは好きな相手とするんじゃ。
So, I like you, Amane. So, not just as my senior, but as a girl.
Aoi-kun.
So, I don't want to let you go. Amane looks at me with a troubled look on her face.
それはできないんだ。
But unfortunately, I can't stay here. I know, that's why, so at least I wanted to let you know how I feel. Amane was going to leave. When I thought of that, I couldn't beat it or bear it, and before I realized, I kissed her.
わかった。
So Amane nodded with a kind smile on her face, and then reluctantly, I let go of her hand.
ありがとう、葵くん。最後の最後で とびきりの思い出ができた。
But thanks to you, I was able to have lots of wonderful memories. She smiles happily and then puts her bag on her shoulder. Amane? So I withdraw my hand, which was held out. So can I walk with you to the bus stop? Okay. And then after many years here, Amane left the garage. She had no more regrets. And with that, our short summer together is over. Okay, so this is now the official beginning of Amane's Route. So I think that animation shows that, so like what we've seen before in the regular common route, it's been about a year since Amane graduated, and let's see how it goes from here. Okay, so we hear Iska talking.
これがグライダー？そうだよ、僕たちの翼さ。これで飛ぶのか。想像してごらん。自分たちの翼で自由に大空を飛ぶところ。具合が悪くなってきたぞ。私は高いところが苦手なんだ。
Okay, so we see Iska, and it's like, come on, let's find this. And Amane knows, like, well, I'm not good at heights, so.
あんたってほんとロマンのかけらもないよね。いい？大空といえばロマン、翼といえば自由。追いかけなきゃ夢を。人生長いようで短いよ。
That's true.
追いかけるのは構わないが、私はずっと地面に足をつけていたいぞ。
I'm bad with heights. I'd rather stay on the ground.
それに、ほらこれ。
How about this then?
モーニンググローリー。
So the photograph that Kotori later picked up. It's a photo Iska found in this old garage. There is a strangely shaped cloud in it. She looked at the photo with great fascination, as if she wished to fly through the sky without relying on the power of a glider. And just like in the picture above the clouds,
アマネと二人でこの雲の回廊を渡りたいんだ。きっと人生で一等輝くようなグレートな思い出になると思う。
So I don't like heights. It's so scary, my legs shake. And not to mention flying in the sky, above the clouds and all, just imagine it makes me tremble. But why? I would see those sights with Iska. And when I thought about it like that, it didn't seem so bad. Well, then again, Iska's trying to encourage Amane to join her. It's like, well, it'll be okay because it'll be more exciting and you shouldn't be worried about your limitations and use that as an excuse to stay out of flying. No, I thought it might not actually be a bad idea.
でもこのグライダーずいぶん古そうじゃないか。こんなので飛べるのか？
So can it fly?
バカだなあ、アマネは。生き返らせるんじゃないか、僕らの手で。
But it's old, but we can fix it.
その方がきっとドラマチックだ。
そういうものだろうか。
So it seemed like such a difficult task to restore a glider that had been thrown out and abandoned. And more than that, as far as I have seen, there is no evidence of a phenomenon like Morning Glory in Kazagura within the past 20 years. And for the sake of argument, even if it flew, it would be hard to imagine that phenomenon would happen for us this time.
心配いらないよ。僕が必ずここへ連れて行ってあげる。約束だ。
Okay, so that promise that Iska made to Amane, and Amane still remembers it if you notice in the common route. I was thinking I doubt she could do that. But at the same time, I also thought, so if Iska says she can't do it, maybe it is possible. It could have been the first time since I was born that I thought like that. I was in denial because I approached it emotionally and not logically. And from that day on, Iska and I aimed for the skies. So with our wings, we could or would soar through the passage of clouds. And the days spent with Iska glittered with rainbow colors, and before I knew it, I was dazedly chasing dreams with her. But one day, Iska was suddenly gone. Me and ... So many unfulfilled promises were left behind. And the world around me lost all color and became monotone once again. And when I look out the window, I would see a sky so blue it hurt my eyes, and in a cumulonimbus cloud towering above everything. And one aspect of this season is the panoramic sky. It is magnificent in its scale, and it makes you feel it. And in that, I think of a white wings riding the winds. Today, there are thin, scattered clouds. It just might be a warm day, or today. And I want to fly. Oh, so this is from Aoi's perspective.
Aoi-kun!
Hold on, I went too fast. So I am impatient and able only to lift my eyes up, overwhelmed by the size of the sky. Okay. So it was Kotori who called me as I looked up to the sky from the window.
空なんか見上げてどうしたの？
Well, I was thinking this is perfect soaring weather. She comes to my side and looks up from the window, too.
いい天気ね。ちょっと暑そうだけど。
Yeah, it's good weather. Well, don't say that. So, the restrictions on the air conditioner in the classroom were lifted the other day, and it's cool. So, looking up at the blue sky from the right place is as refreshing as it gets. But if I were to open this window, a hot breeze would surely waft its way in.
また夏が来ちゃったのね。
So basically, it's summer again. So looking out the window, Kotori mutters, Yeah. So summer comes around again, and I still can't fly.
ああ、いたいた。あんたたち何やってんの？
And Ageha's here. So Ageha comes into the classroom. It was after school, and there were only a few others around aside from us.
今日行くんでしょ、あかりさんとこ。そうだった。それで葵くんを呼びに来たんだった。
Alright, so you want to get going?
却下です。
Sorry, nope.
どうして部員数ちゃんと足りてるじゃないの。
顧問の先生がいなければ部活動と認めるわけにはいきません。
So once again, unfortunately, you have no advisor, so I can't accept your application. Kotori groaned and glared at Akari. So if there was a teacher who would stand as an advisor, we could get our club back. Or we could get back to our club activities, right?
それは確約できないわ。
So why not?
グライダーの運営には資格を持った指導者が必要なはずよ。
So if you remember from the 4 objectives that Akari has, or like the 4 requirements. So 1, enough members. 2, a clear purpose. 3, a expert, or like a certified expert. 4, an advisor. It looks like once again they have trouble meeting requirements 3 and 4. So no expert and no advisor.
けれどこの学校にそんな先生はいないはず。
So this time it's like, well, there's nobody in school that can be qualified, so I don't think you can get this approved.
仮に我々生徒会があなたたちを部活動と承認しても有資格者を抜きに先生方に認めてもらえるとは思えない。
She poked a sore spot. Until last year, Yamanobe-sensei, a glider amateur, worked here. And the one who had certification was Amane Mochizuki, and she was the one who was actually in charge. Okay, so you see that, well, Yamanobe-sensei, he can only be an advisor, but the expert person has to be Amane. And we don't say anything back and just keep our mouths shut.
じゃあ顧問の先生と有資格者がいれば問題ないってことね。
その条件をもしクリアできれば我々生徒会はあなたたちを部活動として認めるべく学校側に対して後押ししましょう。
So even though we were the ones that caused all that trouble, so I asked cautiously and Akari glared at me.
その問題についてはすでに処分を受けたはず。これ以上の懲罰的対応は理不尽だと考えます。
Akari spoke in a decisive tone and then went out into the hallway.
さすがに手強いね、新生徒会長様は。行きましょう、作成会議よ。
So we gotta find a way to bring this club up despite not having an expert person.
おかえりなさい先輩。
Okay, so looks like Asa's here. So looks like in the Amane route, they kind of assumed that, well, they skipped over the parts where these Kazata sisters, or these twins, they move into the Flying Fish Manor, and they introduce themselves, and they get their room.
おかえりなさい。
And same with your room.
ただいま。お邪魔します。
So when we got back to the Flying Fish Manor, Asa and Yoru were there to meet us.
どうでしたか？ごめん、ダメだった。そうですか。やっぱ最低でも顧問になってくれる先生を見つけないとね。部室どころか肝心のグライダーもない同好会がしばらく続くってわけね。
So everyone's shoulders stoop a bit when Yoru says that. She's right. So right now, we're not a soaring club, but we're a soaring circle, or fan club. So without a place to actually do club activities, or glider even were just a fan club meeting to talk about this and that. Okay. So why had it got like this? Well, the cause goes back to the summer of last year. With Amane, we had our sights set on the Morning Glory. So when summer ended, Amane retired from the club and stopped coming to school. But even still, we intended to continue our club activities. And next time, we will fly the Morning Glory. So we swore, and when we set out, but it was like our departure was crushed by that incident. So under the pretense of that we had too few members in the club, Tobioka-sensei abolished the Soaring Club without warning and tried to demolish our garage. So, to stop him, we stood at the garage in protest. And since Tobioka-sensei was forcing his way ahead and we were rushed, we didn't have any other way to stop him. And that said, standing there, we had a very small chance of undermining the demolition. And even though we knew it was pointless, we brought ourselves time while we appealed to the school and were rejected time and again. Anyways, the third day we stood at the garage, and for some reason the demolition was halted and finally repealed. Okay, so this time they're able to save the garage from being demolished. So at first I thought it was a lie to get us to come out. But after that, the demolition never happened, and the garage stands behind the school, deserted and vacant. And people would hear about the uproar we made about how the out-of-control Soaring Club protested. That's true. And the school board caught wind of that, of what we'd done, about how we halted the tyranny of Tobioka-sensei. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so, I'm not lying, but I'm not sure it's the whole truth either. So Tobioka-sensei and his party cut down the opposition from the other teachers and tried to force the demolition. That much is true, so I hear. And regardless of that big problem that occurred, a number of teachers showed their sympathy. Okay, so there are some teachers who objected the demolition. It's like, well, it's not good that you're forcing your way in. And I wonder what the purpose is to demolish the garage anyways. Kotori, Ageha, and I were dealt suspensions as a punishment for the fuss we made. And after that, without enough members, the Soaring Club was reduced to being a circle. Also, the garage was declared off-limits and our glider was confiscated. I heard that they were going to build a student dormitory at the garage site, but a different place was secured, and it's already being used by this year's new students. Okay, so they managed to find somewhere else to build this dormitory. So that is why we had no place to do club activities, no glider. We were just a group of friends and not a club. And since then, the garage has been locked and our glider abandoned.
ったく、誰も使わないんだったら、私らに使わせてくれたっていいじゃないの。
But then again, without the requirements, it's kind of not fair for them to run as a club.
そうもいかないんでしょ、先生たちとしては。あんな学生運動の真似事みたいなことして要求が通ったんじゃ、後々困るってわけよ。
Well, we had good times back then, didn't we? I murmur deeply. And since then, a year has passed and we have become third years. And what can I say? I think we're young.
あまね先輩がいなくなったばかりで焦ってたんだよね。
Kotori and I laughed spontaneously at what Ageha muttered. We were aware Amane was going to retire from, but before we knew it, she is gone. She left us before we could even profess how much we felt had to deal with that demolition mess. So what Ageha said about us being impatient, it perfectly expresses how we felt then.
それが悪名高きガレージ占拠事件ってわけね。
And your Rune knows about it.
慶風学園の歴史に残る大事件ですよね。
きっと後世に語り継がれていくんでしょうね。
So now you're going to be going down as having a very bad moment in history. So the students who stood in at the garage trying to keep it from being demolished and apparently it stirred up the whole administration.
そこうるさいわよ。社会の理不尽に対し時として従順ではいられなかったってだけよ。
By the way, Asa and Yoru are still just first years. So twin sisters who just came to the school of the year, or this year. So twin sisters. Oh, so they're also tenants of the Flying Fish Manor and the granddaughters of the school board's chairman. But thinking about it that way, I can't look at them in the face after the stain we left on the school's history.
ねえ、あんたたちのおじいちゃん権限でなんとかならない？
Well, I'm sure he can't really do much.
そういうこと言いますか。
But I don't think he'll be happy that you did that stand-in.
いや、冗談だから。冗談よね、小鳥。もちろんよ。嫌だな。
So those two recently joined our Soaring circle. So I wonder if that's... so Asa is yes, but I wonder if you're also joining in this route. So in fact, I hear they were on the bank of the lake a year ago on the morning that the morning glory appeared. And from Windmill Hill, they happened to witness the glider flying over the passages of clouds. And that was how they got interested in gliders, but when they enrolled in school, the Soaring Club had been abolished and the garage sealed. So they recently moved into the Flying Fish Manor and met us, which is how they came to know about the Soaring Club. So thanks to them, we meet the regulation. So number one, enough club members. And so today we went to see Akari, who could appeal to return to our club activities, but we were rejected and dragged ourselves here in low spirits.
なんとかして部活に復帰しないと。ガレージもグライダーも取り戻せない。
That's true. So the conditions for us to get back our garage and the glider stored inside we returned to our club activities. So this included the winch installed on the runway. So all of that was considered equipment of the Soaring Club that we, as the fan club, were forbidden to use. And on the other hand, if we can't get our activities recognized, we can't get all of it back.
でもさ、新生徒会長があかりさんでよかったよね。
It really was quite a sight when, in the last month's election, Akari was elected student council president.
どこがよ。言いくるめも泣き落としもきっと裏取引だって通用しない堅物よ。どこから攻略したらいいのか。
Well, that's exactly why. Because she's fair. And if we are in the right, then she'll be on our side.
そうそう。普通の生徒会長だったら飛岡先生に睨まれた時点でアウトだったわ。
So by not refusing us outright, Akari left us a path to tread. So despite the fact that we caused that trouble standing at the garage, if it had been last year's student council president, we would have been told, sorry, that's the teacher's word, and it's final. That would have been the end of it. But anyways, it doesn't matter at all. And that idiot Masasugu, just for running, he got the sympathy vote and was elected secretary. So I've known that guy since we were children, and wondering if we were okay with him leaves me extreme anxiety.
まあいいわ。部活として認めさせるためにやるべきことははっきりしてる。
So I just need a supervisor and a certified mentor.
ちょっと難しいけど探してみましょう。朝たちも頼んだわよ。はい。ええ。
Okay, says the twins. So seeing the path we need to tread raised our spirits.
それじゃあ今日の部活を始めましょうか。これはウィングレッドというんですか。
Okay, so this looks like a good place to stop. So we can kind of see how this route differs from the other routes in terms of the second part of the common route. So once again, the Soaring Club is shut down because no advisor and no expert person. But at least the garage is saved or spared, and they built the dormitory elsewhere. And I'm sure, well, based on what we've seen in the common route, it is better to have Akari as the student council president because she would give some chance for the Soaring Circle to be reapproved as a club versus the old student council president who would say, well, the teachers and Tobioka-sensei say no, so I'm going to stick with it. But they'll have to do their own part. And I wonder how it went for the twins, because if you remember from the common route, so when the garage was demolished, they were able to spare the glider and they stuffed it in the twins' room. And that's where Asa later showed a better place to store the glider. But this time it looks like they moved in smoothly. So anyways, we'll see how this goes. And right now Amane's not in the picture yet, so she left, and let's see how it goes when she returns, which is what happened at the end of the common route. And with that in mind, I'll see you later.